Green Lantern, located at Six Flags Great Adventure, opened on May 25th of 2011 and closed on November 10th, 2024 permanently. This was a relocation from a old roller coaster over at Kentucky Kingdom called Chang that was relocated here. And this ride is a B&M stand-up roller coaster. Has a little bit over 4,000 feet of track, 154 feet tall, with a 144-foot drop, speeds of up to about 60 miles an hour, with 5 inversions, and about a 2.5 minute ride duration. This ride certainly has been given quite the character with it, and certainly has a lot of opinions from a lot of people. Just the stand-up coaster in general made by B&M has certainly begged a lot of questions as to even how good these type of rides are. Now, personally, I'm not a fan of stand-up roller coasters, but I do think that Green Lantern definitely provided something that made it stand out from other stand up coasters. And we're going to get into that in a moment. But this is my whole review of Green Lantern at Six Flags Great Adventure.
Now get ready. Here we go.
So, in order to find the Green Lantern roller coaster, you enter the park and you take a left. Keep hold to the left side as you enter the boardwalk section of the park. You pass by all the games and you would find Green Lantern located on the very right side next to its neighbor, Superman. Wow, it's like it was totally meant to be this whole time.
Can't get much worse than this.
Hello, neighbor.
Oh no.
It's Green Lantern. Oh my gosh, we're roommates. How crazy is that?
Does anyone have some kryptonite?
Well, that only lasted about 13 years. But anyway, once you arrive to Green Lantern, you go through its massive queue and you make your way all the way to the station. Usually, this ride runs with about 2 trains with 7 cars per train, and this is where you would then board your train. Depending on the row you sit in, usually I've preferred the front, and I'll kind of explain why I did in a minute, but then I've started riding in the back a little bit more, and I've kind of warmed up to it. I'll explain a little bit more again as it goes on, but basically, you would kind of jump into your seat, and your weight would pull down the actual seat itself. You would stand up tall and then pull down your harness. It's basically just bigger over the shoulder strain while you are standing on a bicycle seat, essentially, is how B&M made this. It is what it is. It's got its weird quirks, and as we get into the layout discussion, we'll talk about why I wasn't a very big fan of this train in a minute. So, you leave the station, you go up the 154-foot lift, you then reach the top. Sometimes when you're on the lift, they state the Green Lantern Oath. It doesn't happen all the time. I think it literally happened like once every other train. It was weird, really weird. And then you go around 90 degrees, and then you drop at this 144-foot drop at a 45-degree angle. And because of the angle of the drop, you really weren't able to feel a lot of it. You get a little bit of airtime in the back. And yes, on a stand-up coaster, you get airtime. And this takes you into one of the tallest loops out there. Well, used to be out there. And this was about 121 feet tall. It was this massive yellow loop as you would pass underneath Parallax, and it was colored yellow to kind of blend into the idea of it as well, which is kind of cool. After that, you go into a dive loop, and after this dive loop, you make this pretty big turnaround that goes over the station, dives underneath into an inclined loop. Yes, there is an inclined loop on the ride. There's not many of them left. The only other inclined loop on a stand-up coaster, to my knowledge, is Riddler's Revenge over in Magic Mountain, which is very interesting. You then go through a little bit of some short turnarounds before you hit the mid-course break. You then drop down, you go through a right corkscrew before you go underneath the dive loop you went through already. You go around it, and then you hit another right-handed corkscrew before hitting a couple more turnarounds and entering the final break run. Now, personally, I think the layout of this ride is one of my favorites at Great Adventure. It has just the right amount of inversions with the right amount of turns to go with it. Even though this ride's main focus is on the inversions and the sort of stand-up technique, that gimmick that it provides, it still has one of the best layouts that Great Adventure offered on its rides. And I thoroughly enjoyed what this ride had for a layout. Now, however, that gets into a little bit of a con for me, the smoothness. As this was a relocated B&M, the smoothness definitely you were not able to feel a lot of it. I felt like this ride was definitely on the rougher end for a B&M coaster, which is why I a lot of times preferred the front. But then I started riding a little bit more in the back, and that's when I pretty much figured out how to stand up properly on the ride. And once you really figure out a good way to stand up on it, it's not too bad, but I felt like you still got a good amount of headbanging on it, and I wasn't too big of a fan of it, which is why I wasn't a huge fan of Green Lantern as it is. But I think for what the ride provided with the layout, certainly made up for it, in my personal opinion, with how all of that is said and done. Now, obviously, I don't think this ride should have gone to the park to begin with. Yes, it was relocated, and that certainly played a role in it. It definitely is a ride that would make for a very weird feeling in 2025 for a lot of people when it's basically entirely removed from the skyline. But all in all, I think that this ride provides a lot of unique characteristics from a lot of the other inverting coasters like Medusa. So I will say that despite I hate seeing this ride go, I really think that whatever is going to replace it in the future is going to be way better than it. And all said and done, that's what I think of Green Lantern at Six Flags Great Adventure. Let me know what your thoughts are on this roller coaster when if you got around to riding it. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Always take your write ups. Have an amazing rest of your day. I will see you all in the parks real soon. Goodbye.
Here we go.
Mark 10. Head back. Mark 10. Head back.
Here we go.